We return to the story of Joseph, who was serving in the home of Potiphar. God was with Joseph, and he succeeded in all his endeavors. God was with Joseph because Joseph always mentioned God. The verse says that his master, Potiphar, saw that God was with him, and our sages tell us that that was because Shem Shamayim Haya Shagur Befiv. The name of heaven, meaning God's name, was always in his mouth. Whenever he would do something and it would be successful, he would say, "Oh, Baruch Hashem, bless God, thank God." And so even an idolatrous Potiphar, Egyptians back then weren't, monotheists, they were idolaters. Even he recognizes, wow, there's a God, one God, and he is blessing Joseph. Therefore, when that was recognized, the verse says that everything that he does, God makes it successful in his hand. Now, there's a second episode, a little bit later in the Parsha, where God also makes things successful in Joseph's hand when he is in prison. There, however, Hashem makes it so successful, the verse just says, Hashem matzliach. It doesn't say in his hand. When Joseph was in the house of Potiphar, it appeared as if he was successful. He, in turn, blessed God, and then God's intervention, God's involvement was recognized. In the scenario of jail, it was so obvious that God was involved that we don't even have the concept that it was because of Joseph's hand. Therefore, the verse says, Hashem matzliach, without saying the word biyadoi, in his hand. In jail is worse than as a servant to Potiphar. Again, being sold to Egypt is already not good, but worse, certainly, to be imprisoned. Why in the world would in that setting, would there be a greater show of Hashem's presence, of Hashem's involvement? The reality, of course, is that when we have a descent, it's for the purpose of an ascent. And the less we seem to involve ourselves, the more we get out of our own way, the more Hashem fills in the void, fills in the blank. So when a person is in jail, obviously he's less autonomous than even when he's a servant. And so there, in that particular setting, it's just Hashem Matzliach. There is no Joseph's hand to even be had. It's open divine intervention. When Potiphar took note of this fact, he put Joseph in charge of his entire household and estate.